Okay, it's 12 o'clock and it looks like we're ready to start. My name's Eric and I lead the Diversity Hub of Age-Friendly Edmonton, and I'm very, very happy to be your host today. I want to thank you all for being here today and joining us for our third and final Lunch and Learn of the Seniors Week. This year has been hard on all of us, with COVID safety measures leading to isolation and, sadly, for some of us, the loss of friends and those dear to us. But now that we're slowly starting to emerge from the safety restrictions of the past year, it's time to start thinking of how to build new connections so that we can enjoy friendship and the best that our community has to offer. You may see a pop-up screen on your screen that says the session is being recorded. You can just click on the continue and it will go away. We're recording this so that we can share the presentation with others who weren't able to be with us here today. A couple of housekeeping notes. You'll note that you are muted and your video is off. We ask that you keep those off during the presentation, as it reduces the bandwidth needed for this broadcast and also avoids disruptions such as barking dogs and telephones ringing. And I hope I have my telephone off. You'll see on the screen, if you would like to have subtitles or transcript, click on the button that says CC live transcript, and then from there show subtitles and you'll be getting those. We won't have a Q&A session at the end of this presentation, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot them down and email them to us at the end of the session. We'll be posting our email address at the end of the session, but if you'd like to take note right now, it's agefriendly@edmonton.ca. We'll ensure that your email gets forwarded to the correct person. And also at the end of this session, we'll be sending out a short survey, a list of resources, and again, our email address. So I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional lands which Edmonton sits on. We acknowledge the land on which Edmonton sits, the territory of the Treaty 6 First Nations, and the homelands of the Métis people. We would like to acknowledge and thank the diverse Indigenous populations whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, such as Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, Blackfoot, as well as the Métis and Inuit, and others. It is a welcoming place for all peoples who come from around the world to share Edmonton as home. Together, we call upon all of our collective honor, traditions, and spirits to work in building a great city for today and future generations. As a settler, I want to give thanks and honor those who came before me to allow this opportunity to learn and share together. As settlers, we have the duty to reflect on this history and commit to reconciliation. It's now my pleasure to introduce Minister Pond, the Minister of Seniors and Housing, to bring us greetings on behalf of the province and to celebrate Seniors Week. Minister Pond.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. Good afternoon. I should say just past 12, everyone. It is wonderful to join you for Age-Friendly Edmonton Lunch and Learn. I'm pleased to bring a greeting on behalf of our Premier, Jason Kenney, and my government colleagues. This is a wonderful week in Alberta. This is the full week of June. It's one of my favorite times of the year. For 35 years, Albertans have set aside this time of the year to celebrate seniors across province, as we owe a debt to Alice and Modi, whose campaign for a Seniors Day in Strathcona County, east of Edmonton, helped pave the way for the province of the Seniors Week. Well, last year, during the pandemic, we celebrate a different kind of a Seniors Week. And of course, we have to be physically apart, and we find creative and inspire ways to be together. However, hopefully this is over soon. And as we kick off the phase 2 or open the phase 2 today, I hope you enjoy this nice weather and just get out and go enjoy the food in the restaurant too. So it made me so proud to see that the parade driving past the senior homes last year, and there were so many wonderful virtual events. Seniors Week last year was no difference than today's when it comes to what this special week is all about, to recognize and celebrate all that seniors have contributed to making our family, our community, and our province stronger. After a long, challenged year, June of 2021 is a much more optimistic time. We are all anxious to spend this week celebrating all that the seniors are meant to us and all the contribution. And we will do so safely and according to public health guidelines. The majority of our seniors have received the vaccinations, and that is indeed a good thing, a great thing. It is important to respect health guidelines and protect one another, especially the more vulnerable people. Many seniors have lived through the challenging time, and they have much to teach us. We have lost too many seniors this past year, and I send my sympathy and to the families and friends who mourn a loved one. Alberta seniors are diverse, with a lifetime of wisdom, experience, and knowledge to share, and we know they are resilient. As we continue our effort to mitigate the pandemic, and we should salute so many seniors who have bravely endured this difficult time with grace and fortitude. During the Seniors Week, let's be together when we can, have fun, be safe, and when we are together to celebrate this special week. Enjoy the week, and thank you to all seniors for your lifetime of contributions to Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Pon, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. I know you have a very busy schedule, so it's really appreciated. I'd now like to introduce Councillor Scott Mckean. Scott spent 24 years as a journalist at the Edmonton Journal, much of that time covering City Hall. And in 2013, he was elected as Ward 6 councillor. He champions the City Council initiative, mental health and urban isolation, as well as a campaign to uplift live music in the city of Edmonton. Scott is also involved in other council initiatives related to heritage, housing, public safety, and urban Indigenous people. In addition to that, he's also a very active volunteer in the community, and I've heard him speak so many times, and I'm always inspired by what he has to say. Scott, take it away.
Thank you, Eric, and thanks to you for starting us off in a good way with the land acknowledgement. And to Minister Pon, I really appreciated your message, and I just wanted to say to you and to your government, I know how difficult it has been balancing the needs of all Albertans, including our business sector, during COVID. And I know you've faced a lot of criticism, and I sit back sometimes and I go, it is such a tough decision to make. So good to see you, good to hear your message. Eric, I thought you were going to say, I've heard Scott speak so many times, I'm sick of it. So I appreciate you didn't say that. You know, I'm here today to talk a little bit about my own story and what I extrapolate from that around such things as mental health and isolation, which we all felt so incredibly during COVID. And I just want to start by saying it's just a real privilege to be here. I'm 62, so I guess, you know, officially I'm not part of the anointed crowd yet, but I'm getting there. So I'm here to talk about mental health through participation in community and the benefits of connecting with your community and friends. Back in October, I participated in a similar virtual webinar about health and wellness for seniors during COVID. Thankfully, this time it does feel different. You know, vaccines are here. I got my second one scheduled for Sunday. And man, sunshine does so much for my mood, and being able to get out and walk around in nice weather has really been helpful. It feels like we can actually talk again and reconnect to people. This particular technology is very efficient and wonderful, but it's nothing like sitting in a circle with friends or family and telling stories to each other and laughing. In 2013, when I was elected to council, as Eric mentioned, what I did was I went to the mayor right away because I'd written quite extensively in the Edmonton Journal about mental health, but also about this thing that I was learning about from people in the city, isolation, a sense of isolation. So I said to the mayor, could we launch a new city council initiative? And it was titled Urban Isolation and Mental Health. And as I said, that was inspired by my own experiences, to be honest, but also some stuff I did at the Edmonton Journal. And I always remember one woman reaching out to me, and she had a wonderful professional life. But each and every day when she returned home, she was isolated. And some people in listening to this today would say, well, how could that ever be? And some people are gifted with, I don't know, you want to call it extroversion or gregariousness. And they have an easy time just going out into whatever situation, the dreaded cocktail party where you have to go around and say hi to people. That's always been a struggle for me. So I appreciate not everyone can go out and be social easily. So out of that came, and once I got elected, just this sense that this is something, if we're concerned about community health and the health of our constituents, we needed to look at. And countries around the world started to do that, and there was more and more scientific research to back up this notion of isolation, loneliness being epidemic in cities across the world. And I think it was the UK that actually developed a ministry related to this, although they did it a few years after we started our urban isolation initiative in Edmonton, which I'm quite proud of. So what causes this isolation? I don't think we've nailed it all down yet, but certainly technology, smartphones and computers can create a dynamic where we feel like we're connecting to the world through all the different social media and stuff, but it's not really connection. And there's been good research to show that too, that connection through technology is not human connection. But you know, I also remember, I'm old enough to remember the TV being rolled into our house in the, it's probably the mid 1960s, early 1960s, and how that changed our culture too. Suddenly people who relied so much on friends and neighbors for entertainment could stay at home and sit in front of that box and be entertained. So it changed us a lot. But isolation is not just a side effect of technology. I think it's actually what we do as human beings when we're hurting. People with depression, with anxiety disorders, and with addictions are known to isolate. There's the shame in it, and also just some reflex to hide inside. So it takes a lot of work. We know that these things could be treated, but getting people out of their own cocoon to ask for help can be really difficult. And isolation has always been an issue for seniors as they leave the workplace, which is often where there's a lot of their social lives emanate from. But it's especially true for seniors who can't easily hop in their car anymore and travel to social opportunities. And I'm much more aware of how that feels. During COVID, I was largely stuck in my 550 square foot condo, and I'll admit it became harder and harder to be in there. All my meetings by computer did nothing to replace the feel of being around people. And I will tell you honestly, I started to suffer over the months, and it's only lately that I've become more active outdoors, getting outdoors, going for walks, that I've started to feel better coming out of COVID. And the message in this for me, and I seem to have to keep learning this lesson because I've had my mental health challenges, depression, anxiety disorder, and I'm 15 years sober now, which I'm proud of, but doesn't make me much different than a lot of people at Edmonton who used to use alcohol as a way to deal with my stress. I don't have to do that anymore. But if I'm actively participating in life, putting myself out there and engaging with the world, rather than waiting for something to come to me, I'm a happier person. And the passive life, sitting back and waiting for life to come to you, does not relieve stress. And I really believe it makes things worse. And I also believe corporations and politicians over the years have taught you, don't worry, we're going to look after that. You know, listen to the campaigns in the upcoming municipal elections, and there'll be a lot of comments about, oh, no, that's the city needs to look after that for you. I think that has undermined the community effort to make their neighborhoods better by volunteering, whether it's in, painting the hockey rink or planting flowers on the boulevard, whatever it is. That kind of activity leads to connection and much less of a sense of isolation. Volunteering is the most obvious opportunity I can think of to get active and get out of that isolation. And it provides purpose and a sense of sharing the burdens to improve the lives of others. Thankfully, there are always opportunities to volunteer. There's a municipal election in the fall, by the way, and campaigns always need volunteers to drop flyers or make calls. Those campaigns need to hear from you. They need to hear what matters to you and how they can support seniors in connection and participation. City's opening its rec centers in coming weeks if things continue to trend the right way. Community leagues have received additional funding for things like pop-up community gardens. Organizations like the Downtown Business Association are throwing as many safe outdoor events as possible. I've been thinking a lot about how I can become more active right now and get out of what I felt like a passive slump I was in. So I'm committing myself to more movement and getting outside at least once a day again. And of course, I've been thinking a lot about how I may continue to participate in my community even when I retire from council. I'm not done being active and participating yet. I really believe volunteering or any form of service to others is one of the best ways to improve mental health. I definitely plan on doing some of that with the great nonprofits and community groups I met along the way. So I only wish for you that, and again, for many of you, you knew this. You didn't have to be told any of this. But for the others, I hope this sparks a renewed interest in getting out, volunteering, helping others, helping those seniors that may be isolated in their homes. I wish for you a return to activity and connections, happiness and health. Please be well and stay safe. And thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you today. Eric, thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's always so important when you speak to the heart. Sometimes it's difficult to speak from the heart. I know I suffered from depression and anxiety as well. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge to put yourself out there. But again, you won't get the rewards unless you do put yourself out there. So thanks again, Scott. Next, we have Rachel Tassone. Rachel has worked in therapeutic recreation for seniors for over 20 years. Working both in long-term care and community settings. She is proud to have spent the last 11 years at the Sage Seniors Association creating programs that are welcoming and focus on seniors' assets and strengths. She has a passion for creating programming that is holistic, senior-driven, and as barrier-free and as inclusive as possible. Rachel?
Thanks, Eric. Gosh, post-pandemic world, I love the sound of that. So yeah, I just want to thank everyone for having me. And basically, I just want to kind of add to what Councillor Mckean said and just speak to not only the impact that being lonely and isolated can have on your mental health, but also the impact it can have on our physical health. It's been studied for years now how it really can be detrimental to your physical health as well. So I think one research study said that being lonely and depressed can be as bad for you as being a longtime smoker or as being morbidly obese. So I think taking the message today of the importance of putting yourself first, putting your mental health first and physical health first is just really important. I don't want to say that I am happy that in a pandemic, a lot of people ended up isolated and alone for a year. I'm not, But what I like about that is I think everyone went through a very similar experience that I think a lot of seniors go through when they're retired, or maybe their family has moved away or their networks kind of slowly disappear. They do feel lonely and isolated, and now everyone having kind of had that common experience, it really helps everyone relate to just how important it is. Selfishly, for me, it helps people realize that recreation or volunteering, getting involved, it's not just the fun stuff, it's fundamental. It really is important. It can be life-changing. It can help your mental health. It can help your physical health. You can give back to your community, which also makes you feel better. It's just beneficial in so many ways. And like I said, I don't want to say that the pandemic and making everyone experience that was a good thing, but the fact that there's a light at the end of the tunnel is maybe a good thing, because people can realize, okay, you know, this is very important. I need to get out there. I need to take charge, and I need to maybe feel better and give back. So what I would say, I'm going to speak to my experience at SAGE, but I'd like to think it probably reflects the greater senior sector and a lot of experiences of a lot of senior centers, in that most of the seniors that come to us would originally come to us saying that they are looking for an opportunity. Like, I'm retired, I want to try something new. I've always wanted to try oil painting or ukulele, never had time, or it's now time to pursue creative interests. I want to try a drama group. You know, come to us for a variety of reasons: physical health, they want to take care of their health, they want to join a Tai Chi group, whatever it might be. But fundamentally, across the board, when we do our evaluations at the end of programming in the programming year, it always surprises me, although doesn't surprise me, that about 90% of the people share that the number one outcome they actually ended up getting was that they met new friendships and made social connections, and just how important that was. And I think that, interestingly, I know Councillor Mckean said that it's not the same online, but the beauty of it being online this last little while is that even when we did our reporting this last year, many people said they still felt connected. They still felt like they at least had kind of this online family, that even joining in by phone on a program, you can't see each other, but you can hear each other. It helped you still have that connection. And I'm not surprised by that, but it really always speaks to me how important feeling connected and heard um, really is. And that for so many of our seniors, like, we have people in our line dance group that they came to line dance for line dance, physical activity, to try something new. But while they were chatting with each other, they realized they didn't have travel partners anymore, and they weren't traveling. And the conversation turned into, well, maybe we can travel together. And we now have line dancers that have gone to Mexico and have gone on a cruise together, some of them. And that has turned into an outcome that I'm sure they never expected when they signed up for a line dance class. But I just think that, as Councillor Mckean said, sometimes taking that first step can be kind of scary, especially if you are feeling lonely or isolated. And to just really realize how important it is. It's an important step to take for your mental and physical health. And yes, volunteering is hugely important. And at SAGE, that's how we run. We'd be lost without our volunteers. They run our front desk, they run our kitchen, our friendly phone call program, pretty much my entire life enrichment program. I mean, if you come to me and tell me you have any bit of a skill set, I will find a way to put you to work. But you don't have to be a volunteer. Sometimes the idea of volunteering is a bit overwhelming. And even if you just join in as a participant and just take that first step to get started. And I think that's kind of an interesting piece to this as well, is that I think that first step can be kind of scary. I know I speak for myself and other senior centers that we try our best to make it not scary, but a lot of seniors tell me, well, two things. A lot of seniors tell me, oh, I'm not really a senior. I don't want to go play bingo and shuffleboard. And it's not just bingo and shuffleboard. You'd be shocked at what you can find at a senior center nowadays. You're a senior, hate to say it, some places you're a senior from 55 to 105. So that's a lot of people to incorporate into programming. And so there's a lot of options out there. There's something for everyone. So between your community group or your church or your local community league, your senior center, volunteering, there's something for everybody. So there is a chance to get out there and try something new. I just think it's that first step that can be very scary. And I think in this post-pandemic world, that's probably more true than ever. people have been alone and they've been isolated and they're nervous about protocols, about getting sick, but the vaccinations have helped that. I also think that it feels like you're the new kid in high school sometimes, like you're in the cafe and everyone already is friends and you know nobody, but to just remember everybody's in the same boat, that chances are they all felt that same way probably not long ago, and that they're a very welcoming group. Also, that most senior centers have things in place to help you feel welcome. So there's often a tour day that you can get to know the building, or front desk volunteers that you can chat with, or staff like me that would do anything to get you involved or help you feel comfortable. And whether or not that's online or in person, I think that a lot of these online programs will continue, or phone-in programs, or in person. I know a lot of rec centers right now are doing online programming in addition to what they would have normally done when the doors are open. But there's also something like Senior Center Without Walls that always has phone-in programs. So there's something for everybody. It's just a matter of getting started. I also think that for me, online was scary, and for a lot of our seniors, online was scary. And I was more than willing to walk people through it, teach you how to use Zoom, walk you through how to phone in a program. We did it while there was no programs. You don't have to worry about kind of screwing up and being embarrassed, or with things starting to open up but not quite opened up yet and you want to try something new. I know I had one of our participants share with me that she was never ever going to go to do in-person yoga, way too nervous, embarrassed that she would screw up and not know how to do it. But online has been wonderful. She's at home in the safety of her own home and can turn off her camera. So it's not quite as scary when nobody can actually see you. And she's now said that she's feeling far more comfortable and thinks that she will most likely go in person when the doors finally do open, which will be kind of nice. So I think the most important thing is just realizing that it is maybe a scary first step, but an important first step. Just take care of yourself. Put yourself first. It's not self-centered or selfish to decide that you want to go try a new class, or it's not embarrassing. Just go do it, or volunteer. Nobody um, nobody can ever lose out when you're giving back a little bit. It makes the organization feel good and you feel good. So there's tons of opportunities out there. And I think the hardest part is just knowing what those opportunities are. For us and most senior centers, we have websites. So you can go on our website, find out what we offer. Most senior centers have kind of a listing, whether it's their online programs right now or what might be a bit of in-person. You can go to Volunteer Edmonton, find out about volunteer opportunities, go to your community league, find out what's going on. If you're already involved, or you know somebody that might be a little scared to give it a try, maybe invite them to come with you. Maybe that won't be so scary as long as they had a friendly face the first time. Or invite a friend that it's also never been. Maybe together it's not as scary for the first time. Also, actually, the Edmonton Senior Coordinating Council, they do the work for you. They kind of took all the information of all the senior centers and all the senior serving organizations, whatever's out there that seniors can join in, and they compiled it into one website. So they have the recreation directory. Right now it's online because of COVID. They couldn't do a print version, but you can go online to their website, recreation directory. You can find everything that's going on, and whether it's in person or not, if there's a cost, there's not, how you can join in, where it is. That, and if you can't go online, there's always 211. 211 has tons of the information of what's out there and different courses and different things you can get involved in. And again, your local community league, Volunteer Edmonton. So I could go on and on, as you can tell. I get passionate when it comes to getting seniors involved and all the benefits that that comes with. But I think just most importantly, it's take the time to put yourself first. Your mental health, your physical health, it really is important. And I think in this post-pandemic world, we're all kind of desperate for a bit of an opportunity to get out there. So hopefully this will maybe inspire a few people, or we'll get a few more people getting involved and giving things a try. Come see me. Lord knows I'd probably get you volunteering. I'll put you to work somehow. But yeah, my message today is just hopefully that people will really put themselves first. Put your mental health first, your well-being first. Meet new people, try new things, and good things can come from it. So
that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Rachel. You know, she's so enthusiastic. I love her. Absolutely love how enthusiastic she is about it. And, you know, that whole idea that senior centers, that's why they're there, to help people be involved, to help form new friendships, to help create or work on new interests. And as Rachel mentioned, there is the recreation directory. We are going to be sending out a list of links after this webinar to everybody who is registered, and there will be a link to showing all of the senior centers in Edmonton, as well as the recreation directory and a few other things. And the opportunities to get involved in something are amazing. Whatever you could possibly think of, from line dance to Zumba to cribbage, bridge, reading groups, and so on. And just find one that's in your neighborhood, find one that's easy. And the other thing, of course, I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, but I know a lot of agencies are looking, senior centers are looking at how are we going to continue to offer some things on Zoom, because it's a really nice day out there today. But come January at -30, I'm not quite sure I really want to go down to line dance, but maybe I will. Maybe if I could do it on Zoom, it would be good. So just something to keep in mind. The real idea, and thank you so much, Rachel, speaking for all of the senior centers in Edmonton, they really want you there. Find one that's in your neighborhood and get involved. Now, talking about volunteering, Emma Wallace works as a program specialist at the Edmonton Chamber of Voluntary Organizations, or as we like to call it, ECVO. In this role, she develops and coordinates capacity building programs for the nonprofit sector and conducts research and evaluation programs related to the sector transformation. Emma is committed to employing community-based participatory approaches in her work and aims to ensure an equity lens at the forefront of everything she does. So let's find out about volunteer opportunities and what goes on behind it. Thanks very much, Emma.
Thanks, Eric. Hey, everyone. So my name is Emma Wallace. As Eric said, I am program specialist here at ECVO. So ECVO is Edmonton's volunteer center. And so a big part of my role is supporting volunteer programming with organizations, but also getting the community involved and connected with organizations for opportunities. So I think it's a great kind of transition from Rachel chatting about kind of how to get involved or why you might get involved. And I'll kind of share some of the opportunities that we have going on, ways to get involved. So the big one here, we have a platform called Volunteer Connector. And I'm going to just, as I'm talking, I'm going to put a few things in the chat, and there are links that you can click on that'll take you right to what I'm talking about. So Volunteer Connector is a really great website that's dedicated to matching potential volunteers with organizations in the well, it's actually Alberta wide, but I'll just say in the community. And it's super user friendly. And if you're finding it not so user friendly, I'll also put my email in the contact info. And so you can reach out to me and I can help you out. But essentially what it is you click on the link and it just brings you to a page with thousands of opportunities from websites across Alberta. And there's a filter button that you can use to filter the kind of opportunities you want by location, if it's a remote or virtual opportunity versus in person, if it's an ongoing opportunity, so it happens every week versus just a one-time event. And then you can also filter by topic. So if you're really interested in kind of phone calling, or if you're really interested in the food bank, or I don't know, staying outside, then you can kind of filter based on those topics on what you're interested in. So as you press the filter button and you kind of fill out what it is you're interested in, you can then press search. And what it'll do is it'll bring up all the opportunities based on what you've asked for. And from there, you just click on the ones that you're maybe interested in. You can read the description. Usually it'll say what they want you to do, for how long, how to contact them. And it'll also say, what you might need. So some volunteer opportunities require kind kind of criminal record checks. Others don't require anything. Some require you to have a car. It really just depends. If you find an opportunity that works for you, you have the requirements, or you just want to find out more, there's actually an apply now and a contact me button on each posting. And you can press apply now, fill out your information, or you can say contact me, and it'll give all the contact info. You can give them a call. Once we're open again, you can stop into the organization, talk in person, or you could send them an email. So it's super, like I said, it's super user friendly, but I'm also just going to put my email in the chat. If anyone is interested, you are absolutely welcome to send me an email and I can help you navigate the platform. And so that is what I would say the easiest way, or one of the easiest ways to find opportunities. And if it's something, I think like Rachel said, I mean, if you're slightly not sure about it, invite a friend and you can both apply. You can both kind of find an opportunity. The more the merrier is usually the theme around organizations looking for volunteers. But if that kind of platform isn't really up your alley, if you're more of a talk to people face to face when you're looking for opportunities, ECVO is hosting our annual volunteer fair. That is next Wednesday, June 16th, and it's from 12 to 7. We're doing it online this year because, you know, COVID. We're trying something new, but we're using a trade show platform. And so what that does is it allows each organization to set up a booth. As a participant, you can scroll through the booth, and when you're interested in one, you click on it and you'll come face to face with someone. And so you'll get to have a real conversation. If you're not interested in having a real conversation, but still want to pop up in the fair, you're also welcome to, each booth will have kind of a video or a slide deck that kind of previews what it is that they're about and the types of opportunities they're looking for. There's also a chat function if chatting by message is easier for you. And so I'm going to link that one in the chat as well. You can click on the link I just put and register now. We have the mayor coming at 12:30 to do a volunteer proclamation, which we're really excited about. So even if you're just interested in coming to check out that, pop in for a half hour or so. Like I said, we'll be there for the full 7 hours, 12 to 7. So we'd love to see some of you there. We have about 30 organizations right now, and all of them are super keen to get connected with people in the community. They all have volunteer positions available. Some are remote and some are outside in person, but all of them are following COVID safety protocols. And if you're a little concerned about safety or just what types of positions are available, you can, like I said, you can either talk face to face or in the chat, ask any of the organizations what they have available. And also I would encourage you to ask what it is they're doing to keep you safe, because that's really important. And all these organizations have worked really hard to make sure that all of their opportunities are safe for everyone. Again, if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. My email is in the chat. And then the last one I wanted to share before I talk about, kind of move on and talk about some other things is, again, I think Rachel alluded to it. You know, if you're not comfortable or you've never volunteered, you're not really sure what it's about, how to go about it. We also have a free course online. We partnered with AHS to provide what we call volunteer connections. And it's a free online self-directed course. And so you just go through about 4 modules. You just kind of click through, watch the video. There's a bit of a reading, and you just go through those. And it really kind of tells you all about actually what we're talking about today. So if you're a bit more of a visual learner, that might be helpful. And so it'll walk you through kind of what is volunteering, what are the benefits, how you can get involved, and we highlight the volunteer connector on there as well. And then it'll kind of get you started. So that's a really great opportunity for those who are not super comfortable yet, if you just wanted to kind of get a little bit of experience under your belt before you dive in. So, I mean, I just threw at you 3 opportunities or 3 ways to get involved super, super quickly. So like I said, check out the chat whenever you'd like. But the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about was, well, there's 2 things. One is like, how do we stay safe while we volunteer? Obviously, we are kind of, well, hopefully trending towards the end of a pandemic here. We're moving towards what looks like in-person programming, hopefully by the summer. But lots of organizations are going to continue some online stuff. I think a lot of organizations have realized that, and community members have realized that there's a bit of a convenience and an accessibility to online or virtual, remote, however you want to say it, volunteer opportunities. And so I think, a lot of organizations are trending towards what we're calling a blended model. And so moving out of the pandemic, I think we're going to see a lot of organizations continue some of their opportunities, remote, online, phone calling, doing research for them on a computer, that kind of thing. And then we'll also see some of their programming transition back to in-person. And so I think it's really important that we consider, and we keep considering, safety in all of this, because we're not out of the woods yet. So a couple things that are really important to make sure you're asking organizations when you're touching base about volunteer opportunities are, what are the safety protocols they have in place? Are they distancing? Do they have kind of personal protective gear for you? If it's remote, is there any kind of safety around online? If you're calling people, if you're outside and meeting people, what does that look like? So I think it's really important to ask these questions. And like I said, all of the organizations that I've been working with have worked incredibly hard to make sure that this programming and this transition has been as safe and as smooth as possible. But like I said, it's great to just check in with organizations if you're not feeling super comfortable. And then I think, as we start to open up for the summer, I think it's important to think about what volunteering looks like post-COVID. So like I said, some of the trends we're noticing are that organizations are actually, for a few reasons, kind of enjoying some of their volunteer programming that's online. So I think we're going to see a blended model as we move forward. So for those of you who are more interested in kind of remote virtual volunteering, those opportunities will likely still be there for you. And then, sorry, dogs in the background. And then for those of you who are more interested or more comfortable with in-person, we'll have that opportunity coming up soon as well. The other thing we're really starting to notice is that, as COVID kind of came about and virtual volunteering became a thing, we're really starting to recognize that, I think volunteering provides, or is, I guess, a bit of a privilege in the sense that, it's easier for some to volunteer than others, depending on your time, your health, your security, what you have available to you, which is why I think, like I said, we're going to see some continued virtual and remote volunteering. I think it's kind of, we're seeing that it's providing more support to certain people. And then I think lastly, before I kind of wrap up here, I think the one thing I'll say, like Rachel, is kind of funny. I don't want to say that COVID was a good thing by any means, but the one thing we have seen that's a positive coming out of COVID is that people are starting to recognize and understand the value of volunteering a lot more than normal. I think organizations have really struggled with funding cuts and with having to shut down in terms of, laying off staff, et cetera, in terms of what they're able to do with their time. And so volunteers have been incredibly important to their organizations as they stay open. But on the flip side, I think even more important is that I think, individuals, myself included, we're realizing that, I live alone. I think a lot of us live alone. And so we're realizing that in a virtual world like this, it's incredibly lonely, and it's hard to stay connected with people and to stay happy and healthy and like I said, and with other people. And so volunteering, I think, has provided an awesome opportunity for people to connect with their community, to build new relationships, and really, like I said, meet new people, get involved, help, give back. But it really absolves some of that loneliness, I think, is a major piece there. So yeah, like I said, I threw a couple links in the chat. for ways that you can get involved. I also put my email there if you're interested. Feel free to reach out. But yeah, I would just encourage everyone to use these volunteer opportunities as a way to connect with your community and get involved. So I think that's it for me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Emma. And my sentiments exactly. I'm a little bit shy, but over this past year, boy oh boy, the volunteer opportunities that I've had and the friendships that I've made through volunteer has made this past year so much easier. So thank you for putting that out. Volunteer fair sounds fantastic. Really, I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to go. So thanks again, Emma. I really appreciate it. Our next speaker is Wilma Ramon Nair, who is an extraordinary volunteer. And it's not in the script I wrote out for myself, but man, oh man, I run into her everywhere, at Sage, at United Way. She's just everywhere. Upon retirement in 2018, Wilma began volunteering at Sage in a number of capacities. For 10 years, Wilma was served as secretary for the Millwoods Lions Club. She's a mom of 2 daughters and a grandmother of 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. So Wilma, thank you so much for being here today. It's over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. After retiring in July of 2018, my last full-time position being at the United Way, I was beginning to feel an emptiness inside, which should not have been a surprise to me, as I left a place where the atmosphere is exhilarating and the work ethics that all the hardworking employees demonstrate are second to none. And I had the best boss. Consequently, I decided to look for something to keep me out of trouble and give me a sense of worth. So I visited the Edmonton Community Voluntary Organization's website, where I saw a posting for a volunteer receptionist at Sage, and I applied. I was incredibly happy when Bob called me in for an interview. From the moment I entered the building, I was impressed with the vibes that were so invigorating. People singing and some playing cards and some board games and some just having a coffee and visiting. And the staff were busy meeting with and helping seniors with anything they needed. This seemed like a place where I would be able to get some personal satisfaction. And I was so lucky to start volunteering in November 2018. Thank you, Bob. I started as a receptionist in the income tax clinic, where I met a diverse group of seniors. The healthcare clinic was on the same floor, so I saw the people that would go in there also. And most of them had a sense of relief when they left. And some even said that they had never been looked after so well before. I so enjoyed helping any and everyone there that was in need, even if it were to direct them or escort them to the cafeteria. At the end of the day, I had a sense of accomplishment. During the quiet time at the income tax clinic, I did try other assignments at Sage, which turned out not to be my cup of tea, but all I had to do was say so. With too much time on my hands, I looked and found a part-time 10-month position at the Edmonton Seniors Coordinating Council, another organization with dedicated people and an incredible boss also. Thanks, Sheila and Tim. The term of that position ended in March 2020, quite coincidentally with the start of the pandemic. Bob remembered my intent was to return to Sage, so I was contacted to be a volunteer in the wellness check-in program. Thanks, Bob and Janet, for enlisting me. Keeping safe during COVID for me is a very easy thing to do, as my needs are basic: groceries. My adult grandson used to fill that need when he lived with me, but now I have a neighbor who will pick up groceries for me, and I never even ask him to. He offered. I think the good deeds just keep going around in a circle. I go out occasionally, but I am quite happy to stay at home and call my people. Being a volunteer in the Wellness Check-in program is so rewarding for me. I look forward to calling my people, and they tell me they look forward to my calls, and that makes me feel so special. Quite often, the response I get to a call instead of hello is that you, Wilma? My people give me joy and a warm, fuzzy feeling that come with all the virtual hugs we exchange. I am so excited to meet them in person one of these days. I strongly urge anyone who is looking for an opportunity to give back to the community while making new friends to explore the options out there. As a volunteer, I am certain you will receive as much as you give, and even more, just like I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wilma. You're a real inspiration, and let everybody know how much joy there is in volunteering. You know, you're nonstop. I see you at Sage used to see you at Sage all the time. Looking forward to see you again in the community. So that really ends the session for today. I'd like to say thank you so much to our panelists for their time and for the information that they've shared. I'd also like to thank everybody who's joined us by Zoom or on Facebook Live. We encourage you to complete our attendee survey that will be sent out to your email. A resource sharing a resource sheet listing of senior centers, programming information, and so on will be sent to all of our volunteers. Sorry, got messed up there. Resource sheet listing all senior centers and programming information will be sent to all attendees on Zoom. If you're listening via Facebook Live, email us and we'll be able to send you the resource sheet. If you have any questions, please email AFE at agefriendly@edmonton.ca. We'd also appreciate any comments that you'd like to share with us. And if you'd like to see other Lunch and Learns in the future, please let us know what topic areas would interest you. This has been an interesting week. We've had some challenges, but it's gone very well. So if there is interest in more Lunch and Learns, we'd love to put them on. Again, thank you for attending. Thank you, our panelists, and I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon.